Hey there guys, it's Tina and I'm back. And I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe. If you're also back, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again. But if you're new and maybe you like what you see, please consider subscribing. We have tons of fun here on this channel, talking all things beauty and makeup. And today we are going to have fun with one of my favorite products, which didn't used to be one of my favorite products. That is bronzer. I recently received a comment. I'm jumping right into it, okay? So I'll pop up the comment that I received right here and I'll just read a bit of it. So it says here, I'm still on the I have melanin, natural shadows on my face. Why do I need bronzer? Teach me please. And I hope to do that with this video. Here's the thing. I was in the same space for many years. I did not wear bronzer. In fact, bronzer was one of the last things that I incorporated into my makeup routine. I did slowly add foundation and blush and highlighter in, but bronzer, I was like, why do I need bronzer? I have melanin, I'm tan, I don't need to add bronzer to my skin. How the times have changed, because now bronzer is one of my favorite things to put on. I have so many different bronzers, I have so many different formulations, and I am hoping to share that love with you guys, especially since we're still basking in the last days of summer, and who doesn't want to look like a bronze goddess? So if that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll stay tuned. I will leave timestamps down below so you can jump around to the different parts of this video that might interest you. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting with what is bronzer? So bronzer in this context is obviously a makeup product, and it can be applied to the face or to the body, quite frankly. We're going to stick to the face this time around, and it is meant to add warmth or color to your face or to your skin and give the impression that you got caught in the sun and you got a natural tan. And bronzers these days come in various different formulations. The typical one is a powder bronzer, but we now have creams, gels, and liquids on the market. So there are various different types for you to choose from and try out, depending on your preferences, on your skin type, and just based on your skill level. Now, if you're newer to makeup or bronzer in general, then it can be a little bit confusing on how to apply bronzer, because a lot of techniques and a lot of brands have started to conflate contouring and bronzing, and we're not even going to get into contouring right now. We're sticking to bronzing. But a lot of brands, a lot of products, a lot of techniques kind of conflate contouring and bronzing and merge them into a new phenomenon that is called bronzing, where you use your bronzer in the similar way you would use a contour product. The key difference between a bronzer and a contour is that bronzer is meant to add warmth and color to your skin, and it mimics a natural tan, as if you've been out in the sun and you've gotten that kiss of summer. That's what a bronzer is meant to mimic. While contouring is meant to add shape and dimension to your face by adding shadowing rather than adding color and warmth. But a bronzer can also cross over into that contour space because it also adds dimension and shape to your face. So that's where it may be a little bit confusing. But the key takeaway is that bronzer adds warmth and color and gives you that sun-kissed look. So the shades are going to be the key difference. The coloring for a bronzer is going to be quite different than the coloring for a contour. Contours are meant to add shadow and dimension, so they're going to be a little bit more on the ashy, cooling and neutral side, sometimes bordering on gray, while a bronzer is meant to add warmth, so they tend to be more on the golden side, maybe a little orange, sometimes a little bit red, but they're meant to add color and bring life back to the face. Not quite a blush, but they still add that color and vibrancy back to your skin. Now, what about those different formulations that I mentioned, from powder to cream to liquid, maybe a little bit of gel in between? Let's talk about that and which one may be better suited for you. All right, the first one, which is the most prevalent, is a powder formulation, a powder bronzer. You can find a powder bronzer from just about any brand on the market. from drugstore to mid-range to luxury brands. You name it, they probably have a powder bronzer in their arsenal, and it's probably the best starter formulation for you to try out because it's easy to apply. It's in a pressed powder form. You can grab one from the drugstore to test out just to get comfortable with it, to try out different colors, to see which undertone best suits you. You can go ham on a powder bronzer, but there are also tons and tons of cream bronzers on the market now because there's been a recent explosion of like cream products. So you see a ton of like cream blushes, cream highlighters, and of course cream bronzers. There are tons of these now on the market. It didn't used to be that way, but now we have tons of different options. Again, you can find them in the drugstore, you can find them from mid-range brands and also higher end brands. And the one that's the least prevalent would be a liquid bronzer. These are not as widely available as the other two formulations. There are just a few of these that I've tried that are available on the market. I do like them, but I must say they're a little trickier to work with. But if you get the hang of it, these may be a great option as well. So my suggestion for starting off with bronzers is, again, start with a powder. But cream bronzers have also come a long way, and there are tons of options out there, and they've become a little bit more foolproof because the formulations have improved throughout the years and they're pretty easy to work with. Even the liquid options that are available on the market, even though there aren't a lot of them available, they're still pretty easy to work with. They just take a little bit of practice, but start out with a powder. That way you can get the hang of it and you can feel your way around a bronzer before you start using more cream and liquid options. So we figured out the formulation, right? You're gonna start out with powder, maybe tiptoe into creams and try that out down the line. And maybe if you're bold and you're into it, you might try out liquids once you feel very comfortable in the bronzer arena, right? But what about choosing a shade? I feel like that is one of the most difficult things about choosing a bronzer, is picking the right shade with the right undertone, because you can go from 0 to Oompa Loompa real quick. And let me tell you, back in the day, that was probably one of the reasons I didn't pick up a bronzer, because back in the day, a lot of bronzers were orange. I don't know where that came from. Like, why did they think that orange was the go-to shade for a bronzer? Either way, a lot of improvements have happened over time, which is probably why I stayed away from bronzers, and now I'm like loving it all. So now there are a lot more options available and you don't have to worry about being orange. But how do you actually select your shade? The easiest way to do that is to look at your undertones, look at your skin, and think about what you look like when you get a natural tan. So you've been out in the sun, you've gotten a natural tan. What does that actually look like? And the easiest way to do that is look at your tan lines. Right now, I barely have a tan, but look at your tan line and then look at your suntan shade. That is the color, or that is the undertone that you're gonna look for in a bronzer. For me, I get a little bit darker and it's definitely more golden. Even though for my skin tone, I tend to lean more neutral for my foundations, for my bronzers, I lean a little bit more golden. Not orange, golden, okay? So it still has to be like a caramel brown, not an orange terracotta shade at all, all right? I'm looking for a golden brown. Some people tan more red, so they'll look a little bit more sunburnt. You'll go for a more red tone bronzer, and there are tons of those on the market. If you're very pale, you'll probably have more of a pink tone bronzer, more of a neutral lean-in bronzer, or one that has a little bit of a pink undertone. So think about it in that way, figure out what shade works best for you, and even having your natural tan as a guideline, it can still be tricky to figure out like what shade you should pick up in a bronzer range. So the next best thing for you to do is to actually swatch them on your skin. And I know with everything going on in this world today, that might be a little bit tricky to navigate. But if you're comfortable going in store and swatching a range of bronzers, then go in and do that. Just sanitize, use some alcohol wipes, wash your hands, don't touch your eyes, don't touch your mouth, all that good stuff. But try to go in and swatch some bronzers on your skin. And you'll see various bronzers. If you go into like Sephora or Ulta, you'll see brands with a full range and you can swatch them out and see the different undertones. The undertones tend to be pretty obvious. You can see which ones are golden, red or more neutral leaning, which a lot of bronzers nowadays are neutral leaning, even though you would expect that from a contour rather than a bronzer kind of product. Now, I already have quite a few videos swatching out my bronzers and telling you guys the different undertones. I will link them over here in the cards, but also down below in the description box, so feel free to jump to those videos to see the different shades of bronzers that I personally have in my collection in case you use me as a reference, and that will give you an idea of the various bronzers that are available on the market. Now, from those videos, you're gonna see that I have quite a bronzer collection, all right? I have so many bronzers in my collection. Going from someone who never used bronzer to now having like an overload of bronzer has been quite the journey. But my tastes change, right? There's so many different launches and I want to try them all. But I do have some recent additions that have become fast favorites and I'm going to mention them now. These are kind of the top bronzers that I find myself gravitating towards because they just work. The formulations are great, the shade works really well for me, and they look natural on my skin. And I'll mention my very favorite, which is from Westman Atelier. It's the Beauty Butter Powder Bronzer. Now, this is pricey as all hell, okay? But I love it so much. The texture of this is like butter. The name fits it perfectly. It is really smooth. It's like a creamy powder, and the shade of it is perfect. It's a more warm tone, caramelly, golden brown bronzer, but it has a hint of a neutral undertone. So I can use it as a bronzer or a bronzer shade. And it will not show up really well in a swatch because it is a lighter shade, but it adds this beautiful look to my skin. It gives me a little bit of bronzy dimension, and I absolutely love it. Next up is a newer one. It is from Haus Labs. It is the Power Sculpt Velvet Bronzer. And initially, I wasn't gonna try this out, but I am glad I did. So this is Deep Level Number 9. Also, a very smooth formulation. It has a caramelly brown undertone and a hint of neutral to it. You'll see, again, very subtle on the back of my hand, but the color shows up when it's blended on my face and it's fantastic. So those are my go-to powder bronzers as of late, but I've also fallen in love with this cream bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury. Oh my God, this is such a fantastic cream bronzer. I love it so much. It is like, it's a buttery feel. It is a thicker formulation, so it doesn't feel like a whipped mousse or airy mousse, but it's not overly creamy. It's not emollient and slippy or greasy. It's just fantastic. And the shade is tan. There's a deeper shade than this that I also have. Now this one, hella pigmented, okay? So be careful with this one. This is why I think powder bronzers are the way to go for a beginner. But as you get comfortable, a cream bronzer, I'm telling you, can make its way into your heart as one of your favorites. And a cream bronzer will work better for drier skin. I have oily combination skin, so either powder or cream would work for me, especially like I said with the new formulations on the market. The cream products aren't as emollient or greasy as they used to be in yesteryear. But I also have a liquid bronzer, well, two honestly, that I have tried out and really fallen in love with. One is from KVD Beauty and one is from Milk Makeup. Now I prefer the KVD Beauty one because it has a doe foot applicator, and this shade works so well. And this is more of a liquid gel. So even though it's liquid, it's not runny. It has more of a gel consistency and it blends out really well. And this color again works well for me. Now just by blending it out, you'll see that the powder was the easiest to blend out. The cream, a little trickier, and then the liquid is probably the most difficult to work with. So this is a little bit more on the expert side of bronzer. But once you get the hang of it, it's not that difficult. Now the Milk Makeup one, I really love as well. I love the shades they have available. But it's a squeeze tube, which is a little less easy to work with because you have to squeeze it out, you have to get your brush, you have to do all the things. It's just easier to use a doe foot, but this one is also fantastic. And I actually think this formulation is a little easier to blend out than the KVD one, believe it or not. So even though the KVD one is easier to apply, the Milk Makeup one is easier to blend out. So those are my favorites, but like I said, I have tons and tons of bronzers in my collection, and I've done videos covering all of them. So if you're interested in hearing about more bronzers, just check those videos out. All right, now that I've given you all those details and we've spoken about products, how about we actually go ahead and apply those products to my skin and show you how to achieve a really beautiful bronzed look, right? First things first, start out with a white shirt or dress or top of any kind, because white is the ideal color to show off a bronzed look. I'm just saying, all right? Personally, I love white. I know some people are like, oh my God, I'm gonna get messy in white. Hey, pop out your white shirt because it's gonna really showcase a tan, all right? I'm also starting off with a face that's already been prepped and primed. So I filled in my eyebrows, and I also went in with a cream eyeshadow. This is new to me. It is from One Size, and it is a matte eye popper, smooth and creamy eyeshadow in the shade Battle Ready, which is described as a terracotta nude. This is a beautiful cream eyeshadow that kind of blanks out my eyelids and gives me just an even base to start out with. And then I went ahead and applied some foundation. For this, I am using my Givenchy Prism Libre Skincare Matte Foundation. The shade I have is 5-N390, which is a beautiful match for me with my current tan situation. It is a neutral undertone, and it just blends really well on my skin. It doesn't feel heavy. It's a lightweight foundation, and it has a matte finish, which is ideal for me because I have oily skin. And again, it feels very lightweight on the skin, and I just blended it all over to even out my skin before we go in with anything else. I also am trying out a new concealer. This is from Sephora. It is their Best Skin Ever Full Coverage Multi-Use Concealer. Oh my God, I love the Best Skin Ever foundation. So when they debuted this, I was like, okay, I have to try that out. So this is shade 35N. I just applied that directly under my eyes, and I blended it out using a damp camo concealer sponge from e.l.f. Cosmetics. This is a great sponge to apply concealer. It blends it out really well, and I love the shape of it. So I blended that out. This concealer, oh my God, it feels so comfortable. It blended so well, but it gives such good coverage. I can't believe it. So I just blended that out really lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy at all, and it just matches my skin really well. So really liking that concealer so far. Then I'm going to go in with setting powder under my eyes. I'm using the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder, the Ultra Blur version, and I have the shade Translucent Honey. Also, I've been loving this powder. It is newer to the market. It is not the first time I'm using it, so I already know and love it. And it really does have this nice blurring finish to it, so it works perfectly under the eyes, and it is a great color for me. The medium deep that they have is a little bit too rich for my complexion, but this Translucent Honey works really well. So I'm just gonna set under my eyes with that. And then for all over my face, I'm going to go in with my Kosas Cloud Set Powder. This is one of my favorite powders to date. It is so fantastic. I have the shade Pillowy, and I'm just going to pounce that all over my skin. It's really lightweight. I have a matte foundation on, but I always set my foundation, and I find this powder to be really lightweight, and it works really well to set foundation without it taking away that life from your skin. So it's not ultra matte. It's like a natural finish, and it looks really great on the skin without, again, blanking out your skin and making you look dry and ashy. It just sets my foundation really well, and I absolutely love it. So now we have nicely prepped skin. We can go in with the star of the show, which are our bronzers, and I'm going to use a combination of different formulations. Now obviously you don't have to do this, you can just go in with one product, but because I spoke about the different formulations, I did want to go ahead and show you how to apply those different formulations for the best effect. So I'm gonna start out with the liquid bronzer. The one I have is from KVD Beauty. It's the Mod Con Longwear Hydrating Liquid Gel Contour. Now I know it says contour, but as I mentioned before, some of these brands kind of conflate contour and bronzer, and they have contour shades that are on the warmer side, which actually would make them a bronzer. So it's like, do with that information what you will, but this works as a bronzer color for me. So I have the shade Medium Tan warm 50. So you see how a contour should really be cool tone or neutral leaning, but it says warm. So we're going to use this as a bronzer, and I love this applicator for a liquid product because it works really well. It's a huge doe foot, right? It's a liquid formula. The Milk Makeup bronzer, even though I love this formulation and I love the shades, the packaging is not the most ideal for applying it because you have to squeeze it out. You got to do this whole situation. Meanwhile, with the KVD one, I just pop out the doe foot applicator and apply it where I want. So I'm gonna start out by doing somewhat of a contour application, but I'm going a little bit higher on my cheekbone. So I'm applying this right by my ear. So you see where my ear is? I'm just going to tap a little bit of that right by my ear, and I'm not pulling it too far in. I'm leaving it right out by my hairline, by my sideburn. You see where my sideburn is? Yeah, right by the sideburn and ear. Just applying that lightly. And that's kind of the first place you want to apply bronzer. And I'm going to grab one of my favorite brushes from Sonia G. This is the Jumbo Base Brush. This is perfect for blending out liquid and cream products, and it works really well. This is from the Fusion series. It's a really dense natural hair blend brush, and it has an angle to it, and it's short. So it's stubby, it's dense, it's gonna help you blend and buff, but it's not too stiff where you won't get movement. It also has this angled shape to it, which fits perfectly into the jawline area or the cheekbone area. So I'm gonna just lay it down, and I'm going to tap over that gel bronzer. Be careful not to pull the product down. You want to blend upwards and just in the same position. So what I'm doing is kind of blending and pushing upwards, but not bringing it down. So this is going to give me that bronzer look where it's a bronzer contour effect. So I'm getting color and warmth, but I'm also adding a little bit of dimension and shape to my face. And again, I'm not pulling it all the way in because I'm not trying to contour my face. I'm just trying to bronze. So boom, right away, you already see that that added some shape to my face. And again, you blend it upwards and within the same confines of this little jawline area. Now, with this product, thankfully, it doesn't set down too quickly because I was talking and explaining, and that could have been a disaster. So you see there, really pretty, right? You can also use a bit of this across your nose bridge. Now, I don't typically bronze across my nose, but it's one of those places that the sun would naturally hit you, so you would typically get bronze there. So it doesn't hurt to apply it there. I just have a broader nose bridge that's not too defined, so I don't really go in with product on my nose, but I'm going to, for this demonstration, show you how you could do that. So you apply a bit to your nose bridge, and then you just tap it out. Again, it's going to give the effect of getting a little bit of color on your face. So you see right there, adds a little bit of color, a little bit of bronzing. It looks like I got hit by the sun, right? So you just blend it. Again, I'm using the same brush because you don't want this to be like a concentrated look. It should be diffused. So I'm just blending it across my nose bridge and bringing it out right under my eyes to give that bronzed effect. It looks really great. So even though I don't necessarily always do this, I think it's one of those things that I should get more into because I think it looks great on my skin. So that's the liquid bronzer. Let's now go in with the cream version, which I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury for this purpose. This is the Beautiful Skin Sun Kissed Glow Bronzer. And it does have more of a natural matte finish. There's no glow shimmer to it or anything. It just looks really healthy on the skin, hence the Beautiful Skin. So this shade is Tan Dora. I also have Deep, which is a little bit too rich for me, but if you have deeper, richer skin tones, that may be one to pick up. And this product is a little bit richer. It's very pigmented, so a little goes a long way. So don't pick up too much, okay? If you grab this product, just be careful with how much you use. So I'm gonna grab it on the same brush. Tap, tap. Nothing too crazy, right? Because again, this product is heavy duty. So for this, we're gonna apply it to the hairline and temple area. Again, where the sun would naturally hit. So I'm going to just tap it on my hairline. Again, you don't want to pull it too far down. You can look like you're wearing a bronzer helmet. So I'm just going to tap it and pull it into my hairline. Pick up a little bit more product, okay? And you also want to get it along your temple. So don't neglect right here. Add it to your temple and pull it into your hairline, because again, this is where the sun would naturally hit. So you're going to look a little bit more bronzed in this area. And you'll notice too, when you get a tan, that you'll get a little bit more burnt. Well, you shouldn't be getting burnt, okay? You don't want that. But you'll get a little bit more color along your hairline. So apply the product there. But again, don't forget your temples. And this method of application also helps you to blend into the shape that we had created with the liquid bronzer as well. So you're kind of merging everything together so it looks nice and seamless. Okay, right? Am I already looking bronzed? Now, another key thing. Hit your jawline. So there's this guideline that is used often. It's an E or a 3 shape, which is like this. So that's the E, and then that's the 3, where you hit hairline, temple, cheekbone, and jawline, right? So you want to bring a little bit of that product right by the jawline as well, so it blends together, so it doesn't look like your bronzer just stops on your cheekbone. Like, how'd you get color there but nowhere else? You want it to look natural. So pull a little bit down on your jawline. You don't have to come under your chin, okay? You can, but just pull it down your jawline right by the bottom of your ear. Blend it downwards onto your neck. So it kind of merges everything together and it looks seamless. It looks natural because that's how you would naturally bronze anyway, right? Boom. Already looking bronzed goddess. Like, come on, right? Stop it. All right, now for the powder bronzer. For this, we're going to use another newer bronzer to my lineup. This is from Haus Labs, you know, Lady Gaga. It is the Power Sculpt Velvet Bronzer. I have shade Deep Level 9. When I tell you I fell in love with this bronzer, oh my God. So I heard velvet in the name and I was like, that sounds creamy and buttery. Like, if you say butter, velvet, I'm all over it, okay? I am ready. So this lives up to my expectations. It's smooth, it's creamy. It's a powder, but it translates as like a cream, almost like a cream to powder. So we're going to apply this with one of my favorite brushes again for applying bronzer. This is from BK Beauty. It's the 101 brush. It is similar to the Jumbo Base from Sonia G, but it is larger and the angle is a little bit more defined. And this is all synthetic. Now, this works great with cream products as well as powder, but we're going to alternate. So we're gonna grab this with the powder. Again, I'm gonna pick up the product. Now this one isn't overly pigmented, so you can go a little bit more ham. With the Charlotte Tilbury, be more careful, right? I'm going to apply this right where we applied the Charlotte Tilbury to give a little bit more color. And it kind of sets down the Charlotte Tilbury, even though the Charlotte Tilbury doesn't need to be set down. Now I'm just patting and pouncing the color there. Oh, yes, okay. Again, this is just adding a little bit more color where we already have color. And because it's a powder, it's not going to be as intense. You can definitely get a more diffused look from it. So I'm just going to pounce it, almost like I'm using it as an all-over color, because now I'm not concentrating it as much where we applied the gel liquid bronzer. I'm actually bringing it a little bit further in on my jawline. So I'm giving myself almost like a blushy look with the bronzer, because again, you want this to tie in to your full face so you look bronzed. And we're gonna put a little bit over the nose as well. I'm going to get into this because I think it looks great. And I'm just shadowing the bridge of my nose. I'm not bringing it out to the tip. Don't do that, okay? Just hit right here where the sun would naturally hit. Doesn't that look good? Stop it right now. It looks great, right? All right, another thing that you can do to pull your look together is grab an eyeshadow brush or a smaller brush that will fit in your eye socket, and grab a little bit of the same bronzer that you use. I'm using the Haus Labs, the powder one, and pop a little bit of that in the outer crease line of your eye. That adds a little bit of dimension and it ties together the bronzers that you already used on your face. So you're creating almost like a monochromatic bronzed look. You can also contour a little bit on the inner part of your eye and nose bridge where it meets. This is more of a contour application. It's not necessarily a bronzer application, but it will help tie all the colors together and it will look very natural and beautiful. Very subtle, very simple. Remember, we already blanked out our eyelids with that cream eyeshadow. And not like, stop. All right, here's what's gonna happen. I am going to pop on mascara, maybe some lashes, and a fun bright lip. And I'll be right back to show you the finished bronze look. All right, guys, I popped on mascara and lashes, but I want to show you guys what I'm gonna do for my lip, because we can also incorporate like a bronzy look to our lips. So how to achieve it? Let me zoom in a little bit. Hey boo. So you're gonna start out with a dark brown lip pencil. For me, I'm going to use one from Makeup by Mario. This is the Ultra Suede Sculpting Lip Pencil in Dark Chocolate. It is one of my favorite lip pencils. To me, he makes really great liners, both lip pencils and liners. So you're gonna outline your Cupid's bow with the dark brown. And you line the majority of your top lip, somewhat overlining just at the Cupid's bow to give a poutier effect to your lips. And you'll also line the majority of your top lip with this liner, somewhat overlining by the Cupid's bow to create a poutier effect. But don't go overboard with overlining, okay? I know you may be tempted and you've probably seen it on Instagram where people have that lip liner mustache. Don't do that. Just go barely outside your lip line. It will give a much more natural effect and it will look like it's coming from your own lips. So just outline that top lip, and then on the bottom lip you're just going to outline the outer corners and a little bit in the center. So again, not lining the full lip, you're leaving a little bit of space between the center of your bottom lip and the outer corners. This will give the effect of a little bit more fullness to your lips. Then you're going to go in with a lip color that closely matches your own natural lip. So for me, that is the Ultra Suede Cozy Lip Cream from Makeup by Mario in the shade Mocha Latte. And this is a darker brown nude, but it matches my natural lip color pretty well. And I love this formulation. It gives a matte look to the lips. A matte lipstick for this effect is preferred. You can also go satin, but don't go with glossy. Go with something that's a little bit more on the matte side. So I applied this just to the center of my lips, and then I'll go in with an even lighter shade. This one is Naked Spice, also from Makeup by Mario, and I'm just gonna pop that on the center of the lips. It's gonna give a highlight to that center and give a more pouty effect to the lips. And then the pièce de résistance that will really make your lips pop is a juicy lip gloss. I am using the Patrick Ta Looks Natural Lip Plumper Gloss. This is such a great gloss. It won't give you an extreme glossy effect, but it does add a little bit of plumping, which is why I'm applying it. And instead of applying it directly from the wand, I'm just applying it to my finger and then going over my lips. This way I won't transfer any product into the lip gloss tube itself. But for a really glossy effect, I grabbed my Shine On Lip Jelly from Tower 28 in the shade Chill. This is the clear gloss. This is super glossy, so I popped that on as well to give a really shiny effect. And I must say, this bronzy nude lip is so stunning. I love this effect, and it ties together the whole bronzed look so well. And to top everything off and really seal the final look, I'm going to go in with a little bit of a natural blush. Now, I wouldn't suggest using a bold, colorful blush, but you can definitely do that, like a bold orange or coral. Stop. It would look really great, but I'm going to go in with more of a neutral blush. This is a Skin Spark from Phyto Surgeons in the shade Inferno. And I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of that and dab it on my cheeks. So we already have bronzer over the majority of our cheek area, and I'm adding this color to just bring a little bit of life to the cheeks so I'm not just completely bronzed. Again, you want to use a very natural blush because it will just tie in a lot better with the bronzy effect. And boom, this is a very subtle blush. It will add a little bit of glow to my cheeks as well, but nothing too crazy. I'm not applying highlighter, none of that. I just want the bronzed goddess look to speak for itself. So here you have it. This is the final look, and I'm absolutely in love with it. What do you guys think? Do I look bronzy and fresh off vacation? I think so. I absolutely love this, okay? And with the hair, stop. Like, I do look like a Grecian goddess. Don't play with me, okay? Do not play with me. So there you have it, guys. We've spoken about bronzers, different formulations, the shades that you should go for, and we included a demo featuring some of my favorite bronzing products. And this is kind of a signature go-to look for me right now, especially living in a warmer climate. And I think it is a great summer look, a great end of summer look going into fall, where you look bronzy like you're fresh off summer vacation. It's a healthy way to look like you've gotten a lot of sun, but you really haven't because you've been wearing your SPF. So this is kind of cheating your way into looking like you just came back from a tropical vacation. I'm not cheating that bad. Oh my god. That's not what I meant. Whoo, child. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, picked up some tips and some tricks. If you've wanted to try bronzer but you're not quite sure how to apply it, or if you have deeper skin, tan skin like I used to think, I don't need a bronzer, well, let me tell you this, add in bronzer, whoo, will make you look that much more like a goddess. So definitely get into it. It's something that I definitely recommend you guys try out, especially since we're winding down summer. You want to still make the best out of it. So hopefully, again, you guys found this video helpful. I will leave all the products used and mentioned down below in the description box, along with links on where you can pick them up. If there's an asterisk next to any of those links, that indicates that it is an affiliate link, which means I will get a small sales commission if you make a purchase through any of those links. I also have general affiliate links to like Macy's, Sephora, Ulta, so please consider shopping through my link because it does give me a small kickback without changing the actual retail price, and it's a great way to show your support because it helps me to put right back into the content and the channel. So I appreciate those of you who use my link, and if you're not comfortable with that, no muss, no fuss, just shop the way you normally shop. I'm still happy you're here watching, but you can show your support by hitting thumbs up, sharing with your friends, leaving a comment because that also helps the channel out. And you should definitely be following me along on Instagram and Twitter. We have fun over there. And until my next video, because this storm is about to go crazy and I'm gonna need to run for shelter, I will talk to you soon. Bye guys.